In this video, we're going to copy the stack that we just created for the top shirt and use it for the undershirt. Okay, so I copied our node stack from the top shirt and I copied it over here. This is where we're going to have our undershirt. So I just got to change these out. So instead of the high shirt, I have to do the high undershirt. Okay, so now we have our high undershirt. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the colors in here. Okay, so I don't have a reader for this one, so as I said earlier, you got to click here, right click, and then this is undershirt. We're going to edit that, and I don't know how many we have yet, so what I'm going to do is look in the attribute spreadsheet. I can't remember how many we have, so let's see here. This is going to be islands under. I'll just see. Looks like we only have 4 for this one, so that's the highest number right here. So I'll go back to our scene here. And on this visualizer here, I will right click, scroll down, turn you back on, 0 to 4. So here's the areas. Here are the areas that I thought would be useful. Mainly the only 2 I really care about are this one and this one, but when I did deform these, I was getting some really weird shearing between these. It was popping through the other jacket, so I decided to just go ahead and paint areas for that as well. And as we did before, we renamed that from island, whatever the name of the shirt is, to just island. Okay, we'll just make sure that this is our visible node. We'll come back up here. So now we've got our rest. Let's go ahead and instead of blasting out our top shirt, we will keep everything that is our undershirt. Undershirt. We'll blast everything that isn't the undershirt. And then we'll go to time shift to make sure it's still there. There we go. Cool. All right, so let's go through. So we only need 4 of these, so we'll just take 1, 2, 3, and 4. The other ones we can just delete. These are already set up, so let's just take a look and see what the results are. I'm going to grab the visualizer from over here that I used just to see the results. All right, so the islands look pretty well isolated, which is perfect. So I bet this is going to deform quite nicely. It's not the greatest shirt in the world. Here's where I like to add a little attribute blur on the position attribute, the P attribute. Here, just plop it in. And just dial this up here and see what it looks like. Also add the normal attribute in there. Otherwise, you're going to see these weird looking broken shadows. You can even put the normal node before the attribute blur here. Just swap the order here just a little bit to see what it looks like. I see those spiky points down there. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Press B on this and see what it looks like. I think it looks okay. You could paint an attribute, like the weight attribute, so we could do that if we wanted to. So we can just go back up here, and let's just add it in this thing right here, because there's an attribute color in here. Okay, we'll just use this attribute node here, and we'll go ahead and add an attribute. We'll call it smooth out to follow suit with the other attributes we've called smooth out. So make sure you select that in your paint node, and we'll paint a value of 1. Clear out any groups that you might have up here that might be limiting the area you can paint on. Okay, we'll just roughly paint this in real quick, and then we're going to smooth it out, everything except for the collar, and then we'll use that as our weight attribute on our smooth node. So we'll just smooth everything here. Anyway, okay, so now this is the attribute called smooth out. So we'll go back up, make sure this is the most visible one, go back up, and we'll go down here to the attribute blur, and we'll do smooth out as our attribute. Smooth out. Cool. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Cool, and now I'm just going to select the blur and just see blurring iterations. So only the area we painted is actually getting smoothed out. So you can play with that a little bit to just kind of dial it out. Like if it's poking through, just no one's going to see it. So we can just kind of put it in here. In fact, I don't even know why we simmed it. We need the collar though. So I'm just going to leave it like that for now, just at 1. If I need to change it out, I will. And that's pretty good for our shirt here. And you can add one of these attribute blur setups for each one of these pieces as you desire. Okay, let's grab the output here and merge it in with our other merge node just to see what our results look like completely together. Okay, so this is what it looks like all put together. See a little weird spiking piece right here. Guessing that's from the shirt. Let's just go to point mode here and select those points and just grow the selection here just to see what patch number we're looking at here. So if we just view selected, what I do see here is that some of these points we just picked, or some are islands of 4 and some are islands of 2, and they're right next to each other. So let's go ahead and take a look here and go. I'm just going to grow that up a lot just to see what piece we're looking at here. looks like it's the undershirt. So let's go back to what we were doing. Let's take a look at our results. Okay, let's go up to the node where we painted all the islands and go in there and take a look at the attribute node. And if we tumble around here and look at the values for island, we see we missed some points back here. So let's go ahead and just quickly paint those of a value of 4. Well, not smooth, but paint those of value of 4. That should take care of the spiking issue. I'm going to speed this portion up because when I was troubleshooting, I was messing with some of the sliders in those subnet nodes, and I forgot to set them back to their original values, but I didn't realize that here, so I'm going through playing with some of the point deform values, and then I went up and realized that, oh yes, I'm going to have to go back and check the color node here just to see which one of these things I've changed. So you'll see that here I go back and start playing with this, and it must be region piece number 3 and 4, or 3 and 5, or 3 and 2. So at this point, I go back and change my sliders to make them look a lot better, and then go back and check the shoulder and slide that and get everything back into normal here. So you'll see these values go back into normal. And the collar and the shoulder. Cool. Okay, so you play with these and you get the visual look, and it looks good. Let's go ahead and take a look at everything back together, make sure we fix that problem. And we did. Okay, so I'm clearly going to have to go through and add in the cloak now in the sim, which will be the next step. And then that way everything can interact together, but I'm also going to have to go through, and it looks like on the pants I'm going to have to do a little bit of attribute blur, and just to make sure everything looks good, maybe a little bit on the top coat as well, and then we'll sew everything together. Okay. So in the next video, I will add in the cloak. Well, obviously, I'm just going to do something very simple. I'm just going to add another node here and just add the cloak in and run another sim. And then we'll see what that looks like.